Guys, welcome back to another episode of Renew Your Finance. Took a little bit of a breather there, so we are
Absolutely.
back. We are putting together some new content, and we're going to start providing more pre-recorded content for you guys that will give you a little bit more in-depth information, sort of information that's going to be beneficial to you. So with that being said, guys, welcome back, and we enjoy it. We hope you guys find this beneficial, what we're going to talk to you about. Rondell, you want to chime in? We haven't heard from you in a
Yeah,
while.
absolutely. So I know it's been a while since we've seen each other, and you're probably wondering, like, them dudes are fly by night dudes. They want to really about their business, but when you're trying to build credible content or viable topics that we can discuss or present to you guys or get that data together to make sure that is not only this is not just for entertainment. Some may be entertained by it, but this is not just for entertainment, but also for something that you can use that is very relevant in your life. So over the last couple of, what has been, weeks or months, Adrian? I can't remember.
It's been about a month. It hasn't been too bad. I think.
Okay.
Yeah, we only been off for about a month.
Okay. So during that time, I will assure you that we've been having deliberate discussions in the background, probably on a daily basis, in between vacationing and some other things that's been happening in our personal lives. And so one of the things that we had discussed that was really, I'm a novice in, and it was unbeknownst to me, I had a little bit of knowledge about, but not too in-depth knowledge, is based upon the topic that we're going to talk today. So let me tell you how we got to that point where we were discussing that topic. So as you know, we were rolling out of tax season, and obviously we all are under the same tax law, so to speak, that your federal taxes is due April 15th. So me and Adrian were talking about taxes, and we were talking about how we have CPAs, and we need to have a video on CPAs one day, that have a CPA come in here and allow them to educate us why a CPA can be very beneficial versus doing a regular tax software or having a regular tax preparer. No shade on tax preparers or anything or the tax software, but a CPA has been beneficial in both our lives here recently. And so when we were discussing, about our taxation, and we need to have more tax shelters, and we may not be able, or in this case, I may not be able to utilize certain Roth IRAs because of the credit that our home, what we bring in our home grossly in that year may put us in a situation where we can't invest in our Roth IRAs. And then if you max out your employer's 401k, what do you do with the rest of that money? And I was kind of, bouncing that off of Adrian, because we bounce off a lot of financial topics, which is probably, 80% of our conversations outside of certain other topics that we discuss. And he brought up an interesting topic that, I heard about, but I necessarily did not had in-depth knowledge about. And that is HSA, better known as health savings account. Now, again, I'm a novice to HSA, so I'm leaning heavily on Adrian to inform us all, myself included, of what an HSA is, who qualifies for an HSA, what are some things that we can use the HSA for, things of that nature. Because when he got to discussing about HSA, it intrigued me very much so that I felt that we needed to have this pod or this video created so that way everyone could be enlightened if you have the ability to utilize such a tool, financial tool. So that's where we're at today, folks. And with Adrian's help, he's going to walk us through and uncover some of these mysteries about what an HSA is, because they could be mysterious to some, or it could be, a little bit intimidating to others. And so, Adrian, could you kind of, demystify what a HSA is, or better known as a health saving plan? Could you kind of bring us into the now versus where we currently at in regards to what a HSA is?
Oh, all right, no problem, man. All right, yeah, thanks for bringing this topic up, Rondell. Like I said, I was first really didn't know a lot about HSAs myself until I heard some of the other financial advisors and other people in the financial industry talking about HSAs and the benefits of it. So when I was presented with the opportunity to actually have one for myself, kind of dove into it. So let's start here. What is a health savings account? A health savings account is basically a tax advantage savings account that's designed to help individuals and families with a high deductible health plan save money for medical expenses. And the funds are contributed with tax deductible money. So this money comes before they take out any money for taxes. It comes off of your taxable income. As you utilize these health savings accounts, you have the opportunity to allow these accounts to grow tax free, and it can be withdrawn tax free if used for qualified medical expenses. Now, one thing about that is we're going to get into what some of the qualified medical expenses are, because there's some things that you're spending money on every day that you probably didn't know that you could use the HSA account to fund, with pre-tax dollars. So, but that's basically what a health savings account is.
Okay, so you're telling me that a HSA is a tax advantage savings account designed to help individuals and families. Okay,
Right.
And it could be now. With that being said, who qualifies for HSA? That is one of the things that I wanted to know, because in our discussion, I mean, you kind of enlightened me, because you got me so charged up and excited about a HSA. Now, don't get me wrong, people, it's not excited like, oh, I just, no, it was excitement, because now when you don't have a vehicle to invest in because you have limitations set on you due to the tax laws that, hey, if your household make this much, you can't no longer invest in a Roth IRA. So this was another avenue that I was going to use in order to continue to get those, as Adrian stated, some of those tax advantages that would be beneficial to me and my family. But who all qualifies for HSA?
That's a great question, Rondell. To be eligible for an HSA, you typically need to have a high deductible healthcare plan. And this is an insurance plan with a higher deductible and a lower monthly premium than most of your traditional plans. Like me and my wife, we had a PPO for the longest time, PPO, HMO accounts. And with those, the premiums are high. Most of you guys can probably relate to this with how high you're having to pay for your healthcare plan, and how all that money is, going into those plans, every year.
That means that obviously we were rolling this plan that you're referencing through our employer, right?
When they do your enrollment period for your medical benefits, look for what they call a high deductible healthcare plan. They call it a HDHP is the symbol that you'll probably see, and it'll also say something like HSA. Because if you have that plan, the only way to, like I said, to have a HSA plan is you have to have a high deductible healthcare plan, which is one of your options. And I've already looked into it with the federal government. The federal government offers these plans. My employer offers them. And I think you said your employer offered them as well. Did you, Rondell?
Yeah. So it was very enlightening, because I when we was getting excited and we started doing some data mining about who offered the plan and what do a plan look like. Obviously I pulled up my HR website, which had our benefits associated in that website, that showed me that we have those high deductible health plans on our website. However, I'm in a different category, and a lot of people who do watch this video may be in that same category. Me being a retired military member of the United States Air Force, I was afforded the benefit to roll in what is called TRICARE Prime, or TRICARE for Life in this case. TRICARE Prime and TRICARE for Life is not a high deductible health plan. It is a plan that's afforded to military members who retire, and our annual fee is very, very, very low. I mean, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. And so looking into that, and to be honest with you, I didn't even have a chance to look into it. So when we started discussing my medical standing, Adrian had already went out there and looked into it, and it comes to show that by me being enrolling in this healthcare plan, although it is beneficial for me and my wife, because we're commonly aware of how to use this particular healthcare vehicle due to our affiliation with the military for so many years, it's the same thing that we use in the military. it is not applicable for us to have an HSA with this plan. And so
Right.
therefore, I was kind of, taken aback by it. That, I mean, literally, I still could have a high deductible health plan if I enrolled one into my family, into my company, or any other business that I go to in the near future. But it wouldn't be beneficial monetarily for us. So we're
Right.
spending X amount of dollars per year for our health coverage, and we can go within our provider, where we have providers that provide us that coverage, and then I turn around and get this high deductible health plan, which is going to cost X amount of dollars per month that we didn't expend it before, So
Right.
it wasn't beneficial for me, but it may be beneficial for others. And talking about benefits, we talked about the tax deductible benefits, the reducing your taxable income for a year. You already discussed that. So what are some, and it's also obviously used for medical expenses, which it goes to say by the title. What other non-medical expenses that this HSA can be used for?
Okay. So the good thing about this, and I didn't know this going in until I started, actually utilizing the plan and learning about the plan itself, but there are a lot of medical when you're talking about medical, it's not just going to the doctor. It's not just prescriptions. It's not just those type things. But when you're looking at the eligible things, you can also include vision. It also includes dental. So basically, a lot of people are familiar with FSAs, flexible spending accounts, because we can get those through our jobs. That's another tax advantage that we have as well. But the thing, and the HSAs actually include the same things that you can use your FSAs for. Very similar benefits to being able to use those. They even passed a law here back when Obama was in office that now you're for those of us that have wives or ladies, you can actually, for your feminine products, all of your feminine products now can be used. The money that you spend on those can be used towards your as as a benefit. That money can be reimbursed to you, and you can use pre-tax dollars to pay for these things, or at least get yourself reimbursed for spending money on those from your HSA accounts. So there's a lot of things you can do. If the kids need braces, these can be funded through your HSA account. So now you're using pre-tax dollars versus using after-tax dollars. So that alone would save you anywhere from 20 to 25%, based on what your tax bracket is, and how much you're taxed every year. So that money comes off before you pay Social Security tax. It comes off before you pay federal and before you pay state. So that makes your money go a whole lot further.
Okay, that's great to know. Now, and that's very integral, because I think a lot of people don't think about it in that way. If you are informed or told by your provider, your medical provider, that is, that hey, you need to use a certain type of product to maintain a certain level of health, that they can use their HSA, those receipts, therefore, in purchasing those things and those items. Like, you went to the dentist and the dentist said, hey, you need to start using a Sonicare type device in order to increase your oral hygiene, to prevent, whatever gum disease that you may be incurring or may be starting. Is that something that I can use my HSA for if I decide to get like one of the oral hygiene Sonicare devices, so to speak, over?
Yeah, and if you plan these things out right, there's a lot of things that you can use these tax dollars for. So you can use it for your, like you said, toothbrushes, electric toothbrushes. If you go out to some of the HSA sites, the flexible spending sites that tell you flexible spending eligible items, all of these items on Amazon, you can go out and look at some of the things that we buy every day that we use after tax dollars for to pay for. When in essence we can be using the HSA account and paying for these items, with pre-tax dollars. So that means instead of using $700 worth of after-tax dollars, you may be able to use $1,000 of pre-tax dollars, and so That's just some of the benefits, of looking at these and using, like I said, an HSA account. And one of the big benefits of this is the HSAs, which is different from the flexible spending account, is HSAs offer what they call triple tax benefits. The first one is contributions are tax deductible. So if you put all the money you put into a HSA account, um, it's all tax deductible. So they have limits on how much you can actually put into your accounts per year. But and those caps are based on whether you're a single person or doing it as a family. So for 2023, the cap right now is at 7750 is what the cap is right now for a family. So so this is the amount of money that you can set aside and have it as tax deductible off of that account. So, but that's just another benefit of it.
So when in our discussions, you were informing me. So the values that you reference for individual and families. So what intrigued me about HSA, everyone, is that looking at more tax savings, looking at to be able to grow my dollars. I looked at an HSA as more like my investment portfolio. So if in the Smith household, we have an investment portfolio. And when you open that portfolio up, it shows what type of investments that we invest in our Roth IRA and our employees 401k, where we invest in mutual funds, ETFs, some bonds, and individual stocks. So when me and Adrian were discussing about the HSA, and based upon I'm not being able to invest in my Roth IRA due to the gross amount of income that we're going to produce this year in our family, from what Adrian told me, that the HSAs has some of the same flavors as if you would as your investment portfolio. Is that true to be said, Adrian?
Yeah, that is true. So when we talked about the triple tax benefits, the second part of that if you choose to take your pre-tax dollars and leave them in this savings account and don't spend it, you just make your normal deductibles for your health insurance and your normal purchases that you're already making. You just leave that money in the HSA account and let it grow, and you just pay for the other items out of pocket. Now, when you save that money, you have the opportunity to invest it in the same vehicles, like you can invest it in mutual funds, ETFs. Certain plans allow you to pick and choose what investment vehicles you want to use, like particular stocks. And some of them are like your 401ks. They have a set ones that you can choose from, but you can also invest in like funds that are based on the S&P 500. Same thing as like think of it as sort of what you're doing with your Roth or your 401ks to your job. This allows you to take that money you're saving and invest it so it'll grow, while you're sleeping, basically. So it's just another avenue for you to be able to save. And then the third part of that tax advantage is that as this money grows, then you have the ability to take this money and there's no taxes on it when you take it out. So think of it from the standpoint of a Roth. As our money grows in a Roth IRA or a Roth 401k, when you go to take that money out, then you don't pay any taxes on it. So when you're using it towards qualified medical expenses, this money can be withdrawn without having to pay any taxes on it. So
you retain the growth. So the growth of that money, if you left it in there for as you were investing in your employees 401k or your Roth IRA, the growth on that money, you still retain that without having to claim that on your taxes. Is that what you're saying?
You do not have to claim that on your taxes. It's all growth, just as if you were putting it on a Roth IRA. So and just to put that in context, so say you were in putting money aside in this savings account, and you were saving money into the HSA. The other thing that I think I failed to mention before is that you can submit your receipts into your HSA account because and when you submit those receipts, you don't have to take reimbursement when you submit the receipts. Those are, you can submit the receipts, and it'll be like that money is just sitting there waiting to be withdrawn whenever you decide you want to withdraw it. So um, for me personally, for our HSA account, we've had it for the last 3 years, and I've submitted, a couple of $1,000s worth of receipts, but I haven't taken reimbursement on it. So I'm letting that money just sit and grow over time. And I recommend people, because we're not going into great detail on these guys just for the sake of time. I'd recommend you go out and just do a quick video search on HSAs and understand what some of these benefits are. But we just wanted to kind of bring this to your attention.
Absolutely.
But being able to invest in these different vehicles are things that we didn't know about, because we're spending money every single day on medical expenses and things, all these different things that we're buying, you know, for our medical vision. Kids need braces, kids need glasses, all of this stuff that we're just using after tax dollars for and paying out of pocket. We can be using, this HSA account to still pay for it like we were normally paying for it, but we can leave that money sitting in this savings account and allow it to grow tax free. So, and when you're thinking about this context, guys, we're talking about from the context of being able to save this money for 5 years, 10 years, and going right up to the age of 65, because this is another great vehicle for you to be able to save and minimize your taxes. So
awesome. So I mean, it sound like it's a great vehicle to use for those who have the ability or have within their company to take advantage of this. However, I do understand that there are some things that if we choose to go into, we have to be cognizant that there can be some pitfalls, or there can be some situations where if we use it improperly, that we can be penalized for. Just like in our retirement, if we start pulling stuff out of our retirement for those before the retirement age, or try to tap into it, so to speak, before those key dates or ages, then they can incur a penalty. Is that the same case with the HSA? Is there some things that we need to avoid in order to maximize the use of a HSA?
Yes. So with the HSA, as long as you're using it towards your qualified medical expenses, there's no tax penalties or anything like that when you withdraw the money. But like Rondell was saying, there are some penalties if you withdraw this money and you don't use it towards the proper medical, requirements or vision or anything that's the requirements for you to use that towards. Now, the flip side of that is, after the age of 65, if you were putting money in this account and you just kind of let it grow, at the age of 65, you can withdraw funds for non-medical purposes without any penalties. And the only thing you would owe would just be income taxes on those dollars. So if you used it for anything outside of medical expenses, it would go towards your taxable income after the age of 65. But there is no penalty, the secondary penalty for taking it out and not using it towards medical expenses.
Okay.
So
that sounds good.
Yeah, and it's basically going to function as a retirement account after the age of 65. Any money you put in that will work the same as your retirement account.
So that's like a double-edged sword. It could either be a retirement account, or you could still utilize it or leverage against any future medical expenses that you may have.
Yes. And the good thing is, as we get older, our medical expenses are going to come up later, and that's a big problem with our as we get older, and it starts to eat into our retirement, as medical expenses come up. And a lot of people aren't kind of prepared for the medical expenses. They were preparing for retirement, but then they get into retirement and then medical expenses come in, and they kind of eat up some of your retirement money that you had. So this is also another way to start kind of pre-planning for your medical expenses. Because this money you're investing now can be growing, so that now you have a larger nest egg, with pre-tax dollars that you can, use that towards later on in life. And if you have a big medical expense come up later on, you got money sitting aside just for that purpose. So
okay, that makes sense. Now I do have one question, because let's be honest, and I'm pretty sure everyone who's going to be watching this is probably going to want to know this. The answer to this question is that we often do change jobs. I think I read an article maybe a couple of years ago that in a person's lifetime, depending on the situation. A person can change jobs upward to 10 times in their lifetime. Which if you change 10 jobs 10 times over your lifetime and you stayed at the job at least 2 years on average, you can have over 20 years. You can have 10 different jobs over the course of 20 years, which is from a military standpoint, and I only can go off of that. Most people tend to work between 20 to 30 years from a retirement from an institution or some type of career path, so to speak. With an HSA, and if I'm getting this through my employer, what happens if I decide to change jobs or, God forbid, I get terminated? What happens to my HSA?
Well, your HSA is just like your 401k, just like your any other it's basically just like your 401k. It's a separate account that you own. It's nothing. It may be funded through your employer because it's coming from your paycheck, but you ultimately own the account with the bank. It's just like a normal bank account. But this savings account can be rolled over if you decide to go to a new company and continue with another high deductible healthcare plan and you get another HSA. You can roll this money over into your new HSA if you want to. If you like the current company that you have, you like the mix of investment options that they have, you can keep that money with the current bank that holds your HSA, and you can open up a second one with the new company if they're using a different bank. So it's just like having a bank account or a Roth account or a 401k account with your employer. You can keep it with them if you choose to, or you can roll it over. But that's still your money. Once you put it in there, it's your money. And Another thing I didn't mention is that a lot of employers will contribute to your HSA account on your behalf. That goes towards your annual limit. That's the amount of money that you can have deducted from your paycheck over the course of a year. So It's not coming out all at one time, but you can have that deducted from your paycheck over the course of the year. And this comes off your pre-tax dollars. So
So
that's your money. It goes with you.
I still have access to the money. And then as a program manager for the company that I currently work for, I tried to do exit interviews with the individuals, and I informed them that. And I didn't have the advantage of utilizing the HSA, but now you have given me some tools and tips to assist me in my exit interviews with individuals, because that is key. What I've learned in my exit interviews and some of my onboarded with some of my employees is that when they were coming from other companies, they often left their employee 401k sitting there with their previous employer.
Right.
And while it's sitting there, they're not able to, so to speak, invest in it because they're no longer with that employer. So I would say that based upon what you just said now, that is true with the HSA. If you leave it there with your previous employer, you would lose the opportunity and the benefit to invest in that HSA unless you roll it over. Oh, really? Okay. Well, enlighten me on that.
So with an HSA, as long as you maintain a high deductible healthcare plan, even if you have it through a different provider, you can still contribute to that HSA because it's like a bank account. You can tie your current bank account to it, and you can actually deposit money into that account, from your after-tax dollars. And then when tax time comes, at the end of the year, this is a deductible that you can take off of your taxable income.
So are you saying it's not employer centric? Employer centric is the gateway of getting the HSA as long as you have a high deductible savings plan. But as long as you have a high deductible savings plan, it doesn't even matter whether you're with the employer or not. You can still contribute to the HSA.
Correct. I currently have two, and I'll tell you the reason why I have two. The first HSA that I got, one of the benefits that they did when you do the investment vehicle of it is that they allowed me to pick any stock, just like I had a TD Ameritrade account, and that money that I put into my HSA account, I was able to invest that in anything that I wanted to invest. So if I wanted to buy Google stock, I could buy Google stock. If I wanted to buy Tesla, I could buy Tesla. If I wanted to buy a certain Vanguard fund, I can buy that Vanguard fund. Okay. Now, the new company that I had, so originally I was planning to roll that money over into that, but then as I started looking at the new plan, which I still like their investment vehicles as well, but they have certain funds that I can pick from, sort of like a 401k. So I'm
Mm,
limited to what I can pick from. So in my thought process was, okay, I'm going to primarily invest a lot of my HSA money into the new HSA account that I got, but I kept the other one because if I decide, okay, I want to put $1,000 into this fund, and because I got a certain investment I want to invest in. So I may
okay.
take $1,000 from my after tax money, put it in that, and that $1,000 would come off of my cap for the year. So, and then when it's tax time, I can take that $1,000 that I did with my after tax dollars, and that comes off of my taxable income when I do my taxes that year. So
Okay.
they give you statements where you can track all of this stuff. But I mean, it's a lot to wrap your head around. But and you can have CPAs that can help you with this kind of stuff, and because most of this is over our heads for most part. But there's a lot of things that we have in front of us that we can take advantage of that we just don't know about. Like I've spent a lot of money on my PPO. I mean, several $1,000s a year on my healthcare plan, and I was able to get the same benefits from this plan that I was getting from paying that PPO money that I really wasn't utilizing fully.
Okay.
So
So again, I'm glad that you cleared it up because, as I stated before, my knowledge is not as vast as your knowledge or experience in the HSA.
yeah,
So that's good to know because for us who are out here in the working force and those who are going to be watching this video, when you're doing your onboarding, you're doing your offboarding or exit interview with HR, these are some of the things that we need to bring up because ultimately it is our money, regardless if the company did some matching in regards to whether it be your employee 401k or your HSA in this case,
mm-hmm.
or if you have a FSA, if that's because some employers offer that also. You need to know where your dollar's at, and you need to know how you're going to continue to access your dollars. As you also stated, Adrian, a lot of this is over our head. I mean, to be
Yeah,
truthfully honest with you,
yeah, it is.
a lot of the things that we're discussing in this video was based upon reading credible articles, going to credible sites, medical affiliated sites, and also reading just a massive amount of information just to put this all in a short video. So to conclude this session for today, we've taken away some golden nuggets for sure. We understand that there's other ways and other means out there that we can leverage from a taxable advantage perspective. If you are not able to invest in your Roth IRA and you maximize your employee's 401k, if you have the opportunity, and the reason why I said may because I cannot based upon my health plan that we currently have, you may be able to capitalize on the HSA, and by able to utilize this health spending account, you can grow your wealth even much more, whether it be in some vehicles as an ETF, mutual fund, bonds, or individual stocks, or if your employer has a plan where you can only use this, but it's still an HSA, but you got to have a high deductible health plan. And that's one of the
Right.
things that we can't tell you what your employee has to offer. You have to go out there and, start knocking on the HR's door and say, hey, there's some questions that I have that I need answered because there's some opportunities that I may want to take advantage of. But also, you need to understand by taking advantage of those HSA, you get some tax benefits that come along with that, and also you get the coverage of a health savings plan to take care of some of those health expenses that
Right.
we commonly didn't know that was a health expense. Feminine
Right.
products, products
Right.
for men. Don't get it twisted. There are some men that may watch this video that has to take some drugs. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Or you may
Yeah.
have to wear some
Yeah.
depends or what may have you that you can actually utilize this account for. But also, it's just a great tool to have because as we get older, as Adrian stated, and if we are not taking care of our bodies in the manner that we should, or if we are, and things that happen, you too can also leverage this for future health medical expenses, or health, or just future retirement savings. So,
Yeah.
I mean, to me, this is a very beneficial call. And that's what we started this off with, that guys, that although we may go a little bit of time in between these videos, the reason why we're going between those times, because we want to bring relevant, credible information to you, so that way you can take that back with you to those individuals, whether it be your HR, or it may be even your tax preparer, or maybe someone within your family that may be in the same situation. So this is something that can be usable, and not something that's just going to be a good conversation. At the end of the day, you walk away with a warm fuzzy. So, Adrian, I really thank you, man. I mean, I really, really, really appreciate the knowledge and the golden nuggets that you dropped on us today. But what else do you have for the audience before we wrap this up?
So one thing that I wanted to mention, we didn't mention this early on, is when you're considering a high deductible healthcare plan may not be for everybody. You have to look at your current situation for you and your family. So this is mainly for individuals that most of the time you don't actually have to go to the doctor that often.
Right,
You may just go for your annual checkups. You may just go for your routine visits, the mammograms for the women, your normal, pap smears, those type checkups. And these things with a high deductible healthcare plan, I want to point this out, are all things that are included. So so you don't pay any deductible or anything for these. So if you're like one of these people that maybe go to the doctor maybe once or twice a year, and you got your healthcare plan, this is very beneficial for you, because the premium on these plans is several $100s a pay period cheaper than getting a PPO or HMO for benefits that you may or may not use. And if you're spending this extra money on that plan and you're not utilizing it, at the end of the year, they don't refund you that money back if you didn't use that plan. So the benefit of having this high deductible plan is, okay, yeah, you may pay a little bit more for deductibles out of pocket before the insurance company starts kicking in. But having this extra money that you're not, throwing away on these more expensive premiums, you can be taking that same money. I'm not saying don't spend the money, but just repurpose it. So instead of paying the higher premium, take the difference and put that in your HSA account. So over the course of 2 years, if you do have a large medical expense come up later, then you got that money that you've been saving over the past couple of years instead of it being wasted. But you're getting the same benefit that you were getting with investment, paying that money as far as a tax deduction from the PPOs. You're getting that same tax benefit with this, but now you're saving that money. That money is yours that you're putting aside for your futures. So that's one thing that I want to caveat to that. But it may not be for everybody. If you have a lot of medical expenses and you're constantly going to the doctor, high deductible healthcare plan may not be the best option for you. So you have to evaluate the two of those and look at the deductibles and see what the differences are in those plans. Like I said, we didn't get into great detail in this video, but you can go out and Google it, and you can see. And they got some great videos out there. Even your healthcare providers will tell you the difference, with those different plans, and you can decide what's better for you and your family. But
awesome.
Me and mine, this has been a great deal.
Awesome. So again, guys, as a disclaimer, you just heard it there for yourself. We hit this at the 100,000 feet for you. We may have dipped down to 10,000 feet in certain areas to give you some insight on some things, but for the purpose of the video, we hit it at 100,000 foot view. In order for you to get to the lower levels and learn the integral details on that, you need to seek out those people that's in that profession and get that for them, and also get the literature. I cannot stress enough. And I preach this to my own household, which is just me and my family. So I preach this to myself and my wife, that just because someone says it doesn't mean that's what it is in writing. And so you want to bounce that off some credible literature, website, what may have you, to say that what was said or what was told to you is actually what it is. So don't be scared to challenge anything that you hear. Just make sure what you have heard, you can validate it by something. Either someone within that profession or someone that has the literature that backs up what was said. But again, I think this was an awesome session today. I really appreciate you again for giving us that insight based upon your experience in utilizing this vehicle. So until next time, we're going to be hitting you with the things that you can use and not the things that you necessarily like, but the things that you necessarily can use. So, Adrian, you want to take us home?
Yeah. So, guys, so like I said, we really wanted to kind of give you guys some insight into some of the benefits of things that we may have heard of, but because we don't really understand it, we kind of shy away from it. Same with investing. We want you to get comfortable with seeking out knowledge to find out if this is something that I can benefit from. And if we think you can benefit from it from a financial standpoint, from helping you build on your future, build on the future for your kids and your family, we're going to share that information with you. But at the same time, when we share the information with you, you have to be intentional and do something with the information and see if it actually works for you. Because it's not going to benefit, knowledge without application of the knowledge and wisdom that you have is not going to be beneficial to you. So with that being said, that's what we got, guys, for this session. And we look forward to continue to bring you more informational content like this. And, if you guys have comments or questions about certain things, feel free to leave your comments in the comments section. And, if we have a lot of comments and it warrants, a session where you guys want to talk about some of this stuff, we're more than happy to do it. But that's only if you guys initiate it and want to let us know that you're really serious about hearing about certain things. So, but other than that, guys, that's all I have. And we'll take you guys out.
All right. Enjoy your day.
Yeah, you guys have a good evening, and we'll see you guys next time.